Hey everybody, on here, and as you can see I'm out at one of our amazing creek areas here in Maine. Thought it'd be nice to have a little change of scenery, get into a little place different. If you see me swatting my hands around or having to do something suddenly, it's because there's about a ton of mosquitoes out here. So I'm going to do my best and get through this and get you some great information for this month. So in the code journey work, you know, there's several pieces that I'm always talking a lot about, but one of the key pieces I'm always talking about, or that's coming up a lot, it's been coming up a lot this year, it's going to come up a lot in 2022, and that has to do with this aspect of reflecting on our past, looking to the past, seeing how things are repeating themselves, seeing what's coming back around for us, and taking a look and seeing where we're at in our present. Where have we grown? Where are things different? How have our preferences changed? And then using that to create a more stable and solid future in our life. And a lot of this has to do with other pieces that I bring up a lot, like accountability, which is really a great tool to work with. You know, that accountability piece, taking ownership on things, being willing to say, hey, I made a mistake here. Hey, I did not do this maybe the best way I could have, but I'll take that information and I'll learn from it and I'll grow from it, and then I can make shifts and changes and do it differently the next time, or that piece of information will help me a little bit more the next time. So with that in mind, that brings me to this month's topic, which is all about transmutation. And I really actually find this kind of exciting because transmutation is one of those pieces that are really, really powerful once you start to learn how to work with them. It's one of those pieces that really changes your course. It really changes your path. It really brings you into new layers of understanding, new layers of information and insights, and just being connected with your soul self and divine presence and being a co-creator. So it has all this powerful, powerful energy to it. But what I see a lot of times in the world is that people don't harness that energy. They don't take the time to really pull it in and understand it, because so many times what happens is when we get a little bit challenged in life, right, things start to get a little bit tough and we feel like, oh my gosh, I just want to get rid of this. I don't want to deal with this. I don't like this. This isn't comfortable. Just give me a pass out. Can somebody get me a walk-in? And I get asked that a lot, being a walk-in. People say, can I get a walk-in? How do I do that? And it's mostly because they're just not happy with the way things are going in their life. They're not comfortable with the circumstances. They're not, they don't like the direction things are going. And when we get in that space, we forget that we've got the power to change it. We've got the power to make a difference. So a lot of times what people do when they start doing energy work and they start trying to, man, it's like they're all coming at me. They start to try to tackle these things, especially with all these good versus evil dynamics that we have going on right now. And it is this aspect of really, what do I want to say? It's this aspect of really coming around and they just want to dissolve it. They start to try to dissolve the energy. They try to reject the energy. They try to push it away from them. They try to get rid of it, right? And yeah, there's definitely those aspects where, you know, we want to let go of things that are negative in our life, you know, if we have the power to let go of them. But that's a little bit different than trying to dissolve it or trying to get rid of it. So when we're trying to get rid of it, we start putting ourselves in this deprivation space, we start putting ourselves in a rejection space, we start repelling things, and that doesn't help us out. But then people think, well, what if I just dissolve the energy, right? Because then I'm not sending it back to somebody or things like that. Well, what happens? Think about what happens when you dissolve something, okay? What happens when you dissolve something is you don't actually get rid of it. And that's a piece that most people don't think about. You're not actually getting rid of the energy. What you're doing is you're stirring it around, you're mixing it up, you're breaking it into all these different particles, and you're making it invisible, but it hasn't gone away. which means you really haven't dealt with it. You really haven't taken care of it. And that's a piece that a lot of people miss. That's a piece that a lot of people, it kind of evades them. Even when you're kind of far along on your path, you're like, oh my God, I never even thought about it that way. So when you do this, what you want to do is to think about, and let's talk about how dissolving works, right? Dissolving is like if you have a glass of water and you have some salt or you have some sugar and you take it and you stir it into the water, right? Okay, you haven't really gotten rid of it. You might not be able to see the salt or the sugar granules in there anymore, but you haven't actually gotten rid of it. What you've done is you've just broken it up so that it's mixing in with the water. But if you were to remove the water, that would still be present there. So you don't actually get rid of things when you dissolve them. That's where transmutation comes in, because transmutation is really about the creator energy. It's really about this co-creator path. It's really about working in harmony. It's really about bringing these polarities into a place of checks and balances, and where they can harmonize and balance and provide benefits to each other in a sense. So this is where we can actually truly remove something that has a negative energy to it and bring it into a positive light. And this is part of the really chunky, juicy pieces of divine work, of being on the soul's path, is in this transmutation process. So when we're transmuting, what we're doing is we're taking something and we're literally changing it. It's a transformation that's happening. We're moving it from its distortion to its purest self. We're moving it from being an irritation to being a gift in our life. So that takes some changing of perception, that takes some reflection work, that takes some thinking about things a little bit in there. And that's where it gets powerful, because transmutation is one of those things that is needed, because it's about showing us where the lies are. It's about showing us where there's distortions, manipulation going on. And that might be within ourselves, or that might be coming from somebody else. And of course, you know, we always know we can step out of situations if it's something outside of ourselves. But when it's inside of ourselves, it's not. And even when it's outside of ourselves, what's happening? That outside is a reflection of something that's inside of ourselves. So when you have that piece and it's showing up in your life and you're like, I really don't like this, I just want to get rid of this, you have to stop making it the bad guy. You have to stop making it evil. And when you stop making it evil and you start learning from it and you start realizing what it's teaching you, guess what? You transmute it or transform it from being in its distorted self to being in its pure self. And that is where the power is. Plus, what are you doing? You're building your energy and your power. There's some ancient Chinese philosophies that actually talk about this similar type of concept. And what they say is, don't reject that bad energy that people are throwing at you. Take it, transform it, and use it. Because they're giving you, what they're doing is they're building you up. They're giving you more and more energy. And that's not something that we're usually taught about in our spiritual processes in there. But it's actually got a lot of truth to it. And it actually holds a piece that, again, is so, so valuable. So transmutation is something that is needed where there's lies and manipulation and deception involved. Now, when we transmute something, what we're doing is we're learning from it. It's an experience that we're getting, that we're learning from. We take that experience, we take the lessons, we bring it into where we are personally, saying, okay, this is something that really was maybe part of my past more. This is something that is there, and I haven't maybe cleared that up. I haven't really shifted that energy. It's still hanging in there because maybe I tried to dissolve it instead of transmuting it. And so when we do this aspect and we transmute it, we are changing the lies to wisdom is what we're doing. And see, transmute in codes is all about learning. It's all about, how do I take these lessons? How do I implement them in my present life? How do I gain the value out of them? And then how do I use that to move forward to create a better future for myself? You're starting to see how powerful this is, because it is really, really incredible when you start to look at it. And this power means that we don't have to worry about throwing all this stuff out and getting rid of it. We just have to transmute it, which is incredible. And then what happens? Your energy grows. Your energy expands. So if you're working in the light and you're working in divine presence and you're working for the greater good, or whatever you want to say in there, you're working on your divine path, your soul self, then you're going to give yourself more energy to work with it through transmutation, through transmuting something. So let's consider that in that process. So if we take it, let's say you have something that is just beating you up. It's just beating you up. It's hard. It is, people are attacking you all the time. And you want to take that and say, well, what is this attack teaching me? Oh, this attack is teaching me how to be strong. It's teaching me how to stand in resilience. It's teaching me how to be unwavering in my faith. Sure, I might not like it in this form, but the more that I embrace it as my teacher, the more that I take it and say, this is something that's really good for me, the more I pull it out of its distortion, because it's giving me all of its power. So eventually it's going to burn out and it's not going to have any power left to do anything to me with. The same thing is true of any situation. If I'm in deprivation, what is deprivation teaching me? Deprivation is actually teaching me how to be abundant. So it's actually teaching me how to come to the space of fulfillment. It's teaching me how to be rich inside of myself. It's teaching me where real abundance is so that I could tap into that and then create an abundance in the outer world. So always look at that irritation and say, what's the polar opposite to this? What is its polarity? And polarities doesn't mean that things are working in conflict. Polarities are there to show us where things are out of balance, in a sense. It's there to show us, like, okay, if I'm getting this, wow, I'm learning how to be really, really powerful in this space. And that's an incredible thing. It's really, really incredible. If I'm going through health issues, if I'm going through illness issues with my physical body, what is it teaching me? It's teaching me more about how to care for myself. And man, Jessie went through a lot of that, right? People that know her know all the different things that she's been through. And they know since I've walked in, my body has just kind of blown up and done all kinds of crazy things. And part of that's the codes where I live, and that's what I'm dealing with. But what is that teaching me? Well, it's teaching me new aspects and new dimensions of what my body needs, how to care for it, how to honor it, what I need to shift, what I need to adjust, what I need to change, because I certainly have the right to change nothing, but if I change nothing, I'm not ever going to get out of that distortion. If I make the changes and I embrace the lessons, guess what? I'm going to get out of that distortions and it's going to come back around, and now it's going to be something valuable for me. So this is what transmutation is, and transmutation is the soul's path. Transmutation is God's way of doing things, because God doesn't look at it and say this is bad and this is good, and because everything has its value. So when we start seeing it through these eyes, when we start looking at things and working with transmutation, we're really living life through God's eyes. We're really living it through our soul's path, and that is absolutely incredible. That's where you start to get these amazing experiences that you can then take and share with other people and realize and open up to. So that is my powerful piece for this month. And I hope that this has been helpful for you. I hope this has been valuable for you. And definitely, if you like the video, share it out. Make sure you help some other people out there see it. Like the channel if you haven't liked the channel yet. Push to make sure you're getting the messages so you receive a message when a new video comes out. I know I can't get to these too often, but I am busy working on the 2022 book, so you'll be able to get that in a couple of months here down the line, coming soon, as they say. Well, probably be available to the public late summer. But I'm getting there, I'm working on it, and I'm hoping actually this year, by the way, for anybody who's interested in connecting or having me do something along the way, I am really hoping that everything is going to work out well enough that I might actually be able to get out on the road a little bit this summer and possibly even early fall as the 2022 book is rolling out. So watch for me, watch the websites, watch my social media for what comes up. I'm currently checking into some trade shows and different things around to see what I can get into. Again, it all depends on how the mandates go to different places and what I can get into and what I can't get into. So with that being said, hey, take care everybody. Have an amazing month. And I'll be seeing you next month. And as you can see, we have bright sunny days out here. No more snow, at least not for a few months. See you soon. Take care.